I recognize the member from Ottawa South.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak to the fall economic statement in this bill. And first I want to say, most of us watch TV, so we've all seen the wonderful ad that's being produced. You know, the government spent about $35 million on its own advertising last year. It says it's where you live. So I want to describe the other side of that coin. It's where you live. It's where you live is a place where 11,000 people died on a wait list for a diagnostic procedure or surgery, right? Where emergency rooms, a record last year, closed. Where hallway healthcare has doubled, where people are being treated. Hallway healthcare has moved from the hallway to the parking lot with emergency room closures. And twice as many people being treated in inappropriate spaces. Closets, hallways, utility rooms, places that aren't there for people to be treated in. This is the Premier that was going to end hallway healthcare. That's the Ontario that you're living in. It's an Ontario where we can't get home care supplies and drugs to people who need it, who are being cared for at home. Some people at the end of their lives that need palliative medications. Because of a government decision, people weren't getting the care or the stuff, the supplies, the drugs that they needed, just was for some dignity at the end of their lives. And here's the kicker, and my colleague talked about this. Here's the Ontario that you live in. 2.5 million Ontarians don't have a family doctor. 2.5 million. That's going to grow to 4.4 million in 2026. 32,000 of those people live in the Premier's riding, Etobicoke North. 32,000 people. And if you do the math, hey folks, in Etobicoke North, this is where you live. 1 in 4 of you, more than 1 in 4 of you, doesn't have a family doctor. That's the Etobicoke North that you live in. So, well, you know, since my colleagues are so interested, Solicitor General, you have 19,000 people in your riding who don't have a family doctor. A member for Oakville North Burlington, 17,000. The Associate Minister of Energy and energy-intensive industries, you should get some intensity around this. You have 17,000 people who don't have a family doctor. The member from Brantford Brant, 12,000. I mentioned the member from Etobicoke North and Premier, 32,000. The member from Mississauga Malton, 28,000. And the members from Etobicoke Lakeshore, 21,000. Now, you're the best out of the Etobicoke's, but it's pretty bad. So, the member from the House Leader, 25,000. 25,000. The member from Essex, 13,000. Now, I haven't done the math on all of this on the populations in your riding, but whatever the math is, this is really serious. And the member from Bay of Quinte knows 39,000. 39,000 people in his riding don't have a family doctor. That's the Bay of Quinte that they live in. So here's the thing. Here's the thing is, they call it primary care for a reason, because it has to come first. It has to come first. And the reason it comes first is it's pretty hard to get a diagnosis or a reference if you don't have a family doctor. Where do you go? Emergency rooms, walk-in clinic. Nobody has your history. This is a big problem. I mean, I haven't broken down yet, but trust me, I will, how many children don't have a family doctor and are having to wait. So I know members on the other side don't like to hear this. So if you don't like to hear it, maybe the best thing to do is light a fire under the Premier's chair and make sure that he gets his Minister of Health to do it. It's a serious problem. It's not one to make light of. For the life of me, I cannot understand how it could happen that for a Premier of Ontario, more than 1 in 4 people in his riding don't have a family doctor. You think it'd be all hands on deck. You think he'd have a plan. You think it'd be like a Marshall Plan, like what happened in Europe after the war. It's a serious thing. There's no plan. There's a press release here and there. And, you know, the Premier did come out and say we're not going to have international students coming in our med schools. Well, that should take care of about 10 spaces. So all we're simply asking for, and we should have seen in the Fez, is a plan to fix this. There is no plan. And if you don't have your health, not much else matters. Now, I know the government's pretty proud of their $200 checks. And you know what? Some people are really going to be able to use those. There's a bunch of people that everybody will be able to use them. But I want to talk to you about a cab driver who brought me here to Queen's Park. He came here from Afghanistan about 10 years ago. He works 12 to 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. He's got 4 kids, never sees them. He says to me in the cab, look, it's not that I can't get ahead. It's not that I can't keep my head above water. It's just that I can't catch up. Yeah, that $200 is going to help him buy the groceries next week, but not the week after. It'll help him pay the rent next month, but not the month after. It might help him buy his kids winter coats, but not their winter boots. People need a lasting solution. They need permanent solutions. And the cynicism of the $200 is not about the politics of it or buying elections or buying votes. It's to the people who really need it, literally teasing them. Here's something, it's not going to fix your problem, but here it is. That's the problem with it. That's why people are cynical. $200, help you buy your groceries this week, not next week. Help you pay your rent this month, not next month. Help you buy your kids winter boots, but not their coats. They need permanent solutions, not trinkets and baubles. Sure, it's going to help them, but you're not giving them what they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? The member from Mississauga-Malton.
Speaker, one of the best days of the year is Halloween, when I see the young men and young kids, men and women, as one. And I have 2 of my own children, Madam Speaker. I know there are families who want kids, and there are families who opt not to have kids. But then there's a third type, who wants kids and do not have kids. So, Madam Speaker, this is the government which is for the people. We are introducing a new tax credit to cover for 25% of eligibility fertility treatment, which will nearly triple the number of government-funded IVF cycles available to those individuals who face the challenge in making a dream a reality to build the family. So my question is very simple.
Question?
You have a chance to stand up and support those Ontarians. Are you going to support this fall economic statement?
Thank you. Response?
I worked with a government that brought in the funding for IVF. So yeah, I think I'm supportive of it. But the thing I'm not supportive of is the fact that 28,000 people in your riding, sir, they don't have a family doctor. They're looking for one. What are you doing for them? It makes it hard for me to support you when you're not taking care of the thing that's most basic and most primary, which is for them to get a family doctor. 28,000 people, sir. 28,000 people. That's probably close to 1 in 4. It's probably like the Premier's riding. It's a big problem. I'm trying to make a point. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the member from Hamilton West, Ancaster Dundas.
Thank you, Speaker. My question for the member from Orleans. You were right. This government has increased the net debt by $100 billion. They actually have a per capita loan of $26,000. You said 24, but it's even higher than that, $26,600 for every man, woman, and child. So clearly, this government is spending big. They're spending $100 billion on a fantasy tunnel. They've spent almost $1 billion to support a luxury spa at Ontario Place. And now they're going to spend $3 billion to give checks for $200 that most people understand is nothing but an election buy-off. We just finished debate on Homes Ontario, the bill that we proposed.
Question.
I noticed you didn't participate in the debate or vote on it. Do you not think it's important that we support and spend money on homes in this province, not just on these giveaways for this
Thank
government?
you. Response?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm always happy to talk about the record irresponsible spending and massive debts of this so-called Conservative government, who has driven Ontario's debt up by more than 25% in only 6.5 years. Their spending priorities are not the priorities that I would have. They're not investing in the kinds of healthcare services, education services, and infrastructure services that I would like to see in Orleans or in Ottawa or truly across the province. In fact, Madam Speaker, I believe there are something like 6 pages of transit investments in this fall economic statement, and not a single mention of the City of Ottawa in 6 pages of transit investments in the fall economic statement. So yes, I believe there is a role for government to play in encouraging the creation of new homes and investing in housing. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, I personally didn't have the money available to pay to access the NDP plan on their website, which is one of the reasons why I abstained from voting on that today.